of this change, my question to you today, with your currency strong, while you are still grappling with poverty, many of your people are moving into that new middle class. This is creating a tremendous number of new consumers, but also of different consumers. While your economy has slowed a little in the first quarter, the question I have for you is, do you believe that that is permanent? Because no one else in the world does. We think that this is one of the economies that will drive growth. But you have many other things going for you in your wonderful country now. Soon you will have a football match, soccer, right? 700 million viewers will have their eyes on Brazil for the World Cup. And I know many of you are looking forward to that. But then, followed by that, very quickly, are the Olympics in 2016. So as we look at Brazil from a United States perspective, we see this as a country that has a tremendous amount to be proud of. But at the same time, with all of this change, there are these winds of change that are out there. This new exciting environment has created very new and very different opportunities. In the 2 years past, your insurance industry is growing. 10.4% in 2009, 14.2% in 2010. But many are beginning to look to Brazil to decide how to partner, how to be part of your economy on the insurance side. 5 years ago when I was here, I predicted many would want to enter your insurance market. And it has begun to happen. But where that has occurred elsewhere in the world, that has accelerated the pace of change. But today, with all of that change, think of, are you taking advantage adequately of all of the opportunities that have been created? At LIMRA, we have an advantage of looking all around the world and seeing what lessons there are to learn to help others in other countries. So I ask you, should you be looking differently at the future and what the opportunities might be? And must you change even more because of all of this change? What we know is that other markets, as they have emerged, as they have matured, there has been significant change in product, in distribution. So how should you think about distribution in the future? Will it be the same as the past? Should you be really more aggressive at looking for alternatives? If you did, could you capture more assets? Could you maybe, as Nilton suggests, sell more risk products? Are you really aware of what's occurred elsewhere? Because we have seen very consistent patterns of growth everywhere. But as I think you know, Brazil is an anomaly. Brazil is different. But my question, as your market matures, as these influences come from across the globe, will you perhaps have to change more quickly? If you perhaps looked at the opportunity through a different lens, might you see something different? I have a question. What do you see? Quickly. Some of you, no doubt, see an island. Some of you perhaps saw a horse's head. Now that I've suggested there are both, can you see both? But at the same time, here's something you've seen thousands of times. How many of you know that there is an arrow in their logo? Have you ever seen it? Well, now that I told you it's there, can you find it? Look between the E and the X at the white space. So what's my point? How many people look at the same set of facts, they can see very different things. Also, it is very easy to even miss what is obvious. With all of this change, and with regulators talking more to other regulators throughout the globe, are you perhaps missing or not seeing everything that's there? When I visited your wonderful country last time, I talked to you about this market maturity model. What LIMRA has studied, and we have gotten good at, is what is going to happen next in each market. Again, Brazil is different. But what do we know elsewhere in the world? As a market matures from a phase 1, least mature, to a phase 4, most mature, in fact, distribution changes greatly. Products must change greatly. And even training must change. So let's look at your distribution. In fact, clearly 75%, as you all know, is today done through banks. But how different is this really? This is U.S. distribution. Note that the highest channel only has 38%. And in fact, what you see is many, many distributions making up the whole. So yes, you are very different. But back to Brazil, it is not just individual life insurance where banks are dominant. It is also in group life and is also in credit life. But should it be this concentrated? Now, let's look at Asia Pacific. They are very much like you. They are going through huge demographic changes, changes in people coming into the middle class. They really have much in common with Brazil. But this is a chart of the change in just 4 years of how much bank assurance has grown there. What is important for you to know is 5 years ago in Korea, when I suggested bank assurance would be big, they said not here in Korea. Today it is 50% of the market, from almost 0 to 50% in 5 years. But guess what? None of the executives in Korea, what did they say? It won't happen here. And in many of those countries, 7 years ago, they said it won't happen here. But at the same time, what we know is that when you look at their distribution channels, when you think about how they are changing, we are seeing faster development there of alternate distribution channels. My point is not that bank assurance is not good. Bankers in this country get it. You do the best job of anyone in the world. Many of you in this room are to be commended. But are you missing opportunities by not having indeed broader distribution? And in China, in India, these are not mature markets. They have grown into these others much quicker and into more channels of distribution. Japan and Hong Kong, you see, they are already mature in telemarketing, getting mature in Japan in virtual, and already mature in worksite. So my question is, if indeed you were doing more distribution, Could this open up new opportunities to get to new consumers, to get to different segments of the market? Could you grow if there were more tied agents here? And everywhere else in the world, tied agents grew first, bank assurance second. Could the inverse, the opposite, be what's liable to happen here? But as you think about those who have gone into microinsurance, they have taken a different path. They have indeed seen the world differently. The target market for this group is what you call C and D, 128 million people. Yet only 30 million of them today have insurance of any kind. And that, in fact, is why since 2007, Hernan Miranda, up at the top, is someone who is a researcher for LIMRA, who we have embedded into Brazilian favelas. He has been interacting, he has been learning from this population. His objective, to gather market intelligence so that we could better tell our members how these people want to buy, what products are best for them, what distribution channels, how do we need to price the products, and even how will we best collect the premium. Today, many insurers across the globe use many innovative ways to get to low-income markets. But what you are doing in Brazil is very unique. And we have already had many big surprises from the findings of what consumers in low-income areas tell us. But you know, it's not just about the market. It's about generational issues of consumers are different as well. We know that Generation X and Y, as we call them, they are going to buy differently than their parents. So are you thinking enough? Will they walk into banks? Or are they here, those young people, as in India, more liable to buy on the internet or at the ATM than they are actually walking into a bank? In the end, my point is no one distribution model is the answer. Our model teaches that as a country matures, that it will indeed embrace more and more distribution channels. Now, when we look at the U.S., in the early days, it was tied agent, affiliated agents. But you can see their coverage in blue, the amount of premium they wrote declined. At the same time, look at how independent grew. Many believe tied agents in the U.S. were dead forever. But in fact, in the downturn, we saw a miraculous change. And independents dropped dramatically, and affiliateds grew. No one channel is right forever. Things change, habits change, consumers change. Now, in the U.S., in fact, there are 322,000 producers, independent or tied. When I am in China, one company, China Life, boasts 600,000 agents. Many of them are part-time. But today, those agents aren't writing all of the business. Banks have become significant, as you saw. Now, what we know from this market maturity model is that everywhere else but Brazil, tied agent starts as the predominant channel, and others emerge from there. My question is, could it be the opposite, how you will progress? Perhaps. Now, think for a moment about how the U.S. market developed. In the beginning, there were debit agents. Debit agents knocked on the door of my grandfather's house every week to collect 50 cents, $1. Could this same system, 50 years later, be the right way to get to those people in the favela? I don't know, but I wonder. Could those producers, whether they were brought in by banks or by insurance companies, could they help educate that population about the need for risk products? If not, how will you educate the masses about their needs? Now, in Japan, forever, life insurance was sold by females, part-time female agents. Many in Japan could see no other possibility of how to sell life insurance. Prudential, in fact, began to hire college graduates, began to train them in financial planning. Many of the companies born and raised in Japan said, "Crazy Americans, it'll never work here. They don't understand our culture." Today, the fastest growing life companies are using those kind of agents. As consumers mature, as markets mature, they expect more value from producers. They need to be trained differently. They need to have different knowledge. But what this market maturity model teaches above all, things will change. But producers too must change, and they have matured very differently in other countries. In the beginning, they tend to sell endowments, cash value. But over time, selling life insurance risk becomes increasingly important, and then accumulation products also begin to become far more important. So, as you think about product, can you see perhaps in your future variety of possibilities for products? If you had different products, could you tap other segments of your economy, of your consumers? Could we indeed, perhaps, with very different products, sell more risk, more death benefit? So could you be perhaps just a bit more creative in product design? So when one thinks about the opportunities to grow our business, you must also think about retirement. I too will talk a bit in a moment about longevity. But throughout the globe, there is a worldwide crisis of inadequate savings. And this, in Brazil, is an opportunity. Can our industry help people save systematically throughout their lifetime? Brazil, like most countries, you are facing an aging population. In 2030, the number of the number of those who are, let me just find this. In 2030, the number of dependent adults in Brazil will for the first time surpass the number of dependent children. But what's good about that? Your crossover arrives much later than many other countries in the world. So when you look at the slides, look at the yellow portion. What you see here is back in 1980, the bulge was between 0 and 15. That was your boom. But by 2011, we see it as the young. But by 2050, we see that has moved up. So it will be essential here in Brazil for both the government and our companies to think about how that aging group will learn, will put money aside on a systematic basis. Given some of your history with inflation, getting people to think about savings may be harder here than in some other countries. But it may take different products to reach those consumers. What I want you to see is that in the U.S., defined benefit plans from companies like the pension I have, where I was able to leave and receive a check for a substantial part of my income, those have all but disappeared in the U.S. In fact, what is happening in the U.S. and is happening throughout the world is people are being forced to be more self-reliant on their own savings. In Brazil, we all know your government workers have a strong pension, as do government workers in the U.S., but the bulk of the rest of your population do not have strong pension systems. So, what should the government do about this aging population? We did a study throughout the globe, and in fact, 40% of your population said, you know what? We're very much understand we're going to have to be more reliant. What we want from the government are tax incentives. We want the government to be an enabler. And indeed, in the U.S., this is exactly what happens with IRAs, with 401ks. Tax benefits for those who do save systematically. So, reluctantly, unhappily, people around the globe are beginning to accept that they must take responsibility. Yet, saving rates in Brazil are tiny, poco, very poor when one looks across the globe. Much of Latin America is this way, but look at the difference in China. Again, an emerging population, but they are more focused culturally on the need to save. Now, interestingly enough, that same survey, Nope, can we go back? Yes. That same survey down the bottom, only 9% of your people thought raising the retirement age was a good idea. So they understand they have to do more, but don't change the age of my retirement. In Europe, as you know, where they have begun to do that, in fact, there have been massive protests. But the good news for you, they didn't plan well. They now are at retirement and being told it must change. This is where you have an advantage. You have to 2050 and beyond to help people save systematically. It is not too late for the Brazilian people. Now, as we think about retirement, what we see is two major problems that are really undermining retirement security. Insufficient funds, simply not enough gas in the tank, not enough money at retirement to sustain throughout retirement. And today, longevity is a much bigger issue and will have a tremendous impact on retirement. Let's look at how much. By the middle of the century, almost 40% of your population will be 50 or older. 40%. But let's look elsewhere. Longevity. This is for Nilton. When people say, what's the average? The average is about 77 and a half. But the problem with averages, Some of you know the basketball player, Shaquille O'Neal. He's 7'1". I'm not. You noticed. Wait for the translation. Our average might be 6'4". That doesn't tell you much about either of us, does it? That's the problem with averages. If somebody lives to 65 and actually gets to retire, on average, they'll still live to 83. And guess what? If they live to Nilton's age, they will in fact, on average, live to 87. So people aren't planning that they need to live as long as they're going to. But I also want to show you, which is probably similar to what you saw yesterday. If we take a couple in the U.S. age 25, there is about a 41% chance that one or both will in fact make their 90th birthday. That will have an impact on retirement plans. But look at this. Life expectancy has risen more in the last 50 years than in the last 5,000. So how different might it be by 2050? And in 1970, only 3% of your people were 65 or older here in Brazil. By 2050, 20% will be. So people globally are at a bigger risk. Only 13% of people we surveyed throughout the world said they felt comfortable that they could have a good retirement. 13%. 86% have no idea where the money will come from. When we ask people, even in the U.S., they say, I will win the lottery. That is not a good plan for how to go about retirement. Only a quarter feel they fully understand their long-term finances. And 14% say they haven't even thought about it. So when I say it's a worldwide problem, it is. But look at these next two statistics. Western Europe, right? A very mature society. 56% of all Europeans say they're not saving anything. Nothing. 56%. How will they expect to retire? How will you train those new consumers in Brazil that they must? Look at this statistic. In fact, 3 countries in the world actually have 80% of all the retirement savings. Retirement is a tremendous opportunity for our industry here in Brazil. But it may require different thinking. Let's look at segment C. To me, this is an amazing slide. From 2003 to 2008, 5 years, 37% to 49%. Nearly half of your population has moved up financially. As I went to the mall next door yesterday, I saw lots of young consumers. But how will you compete with beautiful new clothes? Why will they save for retirement? Why will they buy risk products? How will you get them to understand the need? But when you think about that population, that young population, you have 203 million people in Brazil and 200 million cell phones. Your young population and even your older population. This country is wired. And it is foolish to think that those young people are going to buy just like their parents did. They are going to want to utilize technology. And when you think about it, half of Brazilians today are between 20 and 55. Are you thinking enough about how to reach them? In North America, 77% of the population use the internet. In Europe, 57%. You're quite low at 35%. But will that stay that way? Because so many are wired, it seems unlikely. Might your young people skip the internet altogether and go right to mobile devices? Are you thinking enough about how to reach them in these new methods? We will talk at the Limmer Annual Meeting in New York a great deal about some of the things that companies are doing to make a difference and reach people through mobile devices. But in the U.S., we have seen a tremendous difference. In 2006, only 38% of people, not much different than yours, were using the internet to learn about insurance. Today, that number has grown by 2009 to 52%. That is a huge increase. And I predict you will see a similar increase here. Because what we also know is that your youth overwhelmingly are on Facebook. 80% of your young people are using networking online, social media. With those kind of statistics, it's safe to assume your business, your distribution will have to change to keep up. So, as you look across the globe, in spite of all this increased internet use, what our numbers keep telling us, people still want face-to-face. They want to deal with a person. It's less important where that person is, in a bank, in their home. But are you getting to people all the ways that you could? Well, what I would like to talk to you about next, and finally, is how different could the future be? Certainly in Brazil, we have all said, you are not selling as much life insurance. Very few companies here underwrite first life insurance the way it is done elsewhere in the world. What we know elsewhere in the world is that underwriting is what slows up the process. It is why you can't often get to the masses. So we created a little video to talk about and help you see just how different technology could make our business in the years ahead. Oh, no sound.
And
Marta. And baby McNeil.
when is baby McNeil expected?
Too soon.
Well then, let's get you guys set up. I see you're interested in the whole life policy. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing our homework and looking at whole life and term life. Really not sure which direction we want to go.
Okay. Let me go over some of the particulars of the policy so you understand some of the differences.
That'd be great, because I did have some questions.
Well, based on what I've got from your Facebook Finance tab and your income, I see that you, Todd, are in the pharmaceutical industry, while Marta...
Wow, thank you so much, David. That was really helpful.
Yeah, I certainly think a combination of term and permanent will certainly address our needs. We'll go with that.
Sounds good. Can you give me permission to access your medical records from the Federal Health Data Bank?
Yes.
Just give us your right thumbprint on the screen and we'll get those right away. This won't take long at all.
Okay.
Sorry for the wait. Here it comes. So I see there is some history of diabetes. Your father died from complications?
Yeah, 5 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. But because of it though, I'm afraid we'll have to do a blood test. But it's pretty simple. Just download the Lifeblood Analyzer app from the Imagine Life website. Great. Just be another minute to get the results. Okay. I'm happy to say everything looks good, and here comes the policy.
Great, here we go.
Okay, for final ID and signature and permission to get the money transferred from your bank, Todd, if you could, give me one last thumbprint. Thank you. And Marta, you too, just to be the witness. Perfect. Well, it was great doing business with you. Would you be willing to do a revid?
I think he needs a video referral.
Sure, absolutely.
So what you see in this example, the prospect was developed online from a social network, referred from one person to another advisor who had been recommended by a friend on Facebook. But then what you also saw was what I call the new face-to-face. It was not someone sitting in front of a person, but in a video screen. With things like Skype, with where your Apple phone is, this is not Tomorrowland. This is very soon. But then what you also saw was that from analysis of information online, the advisor had financial data, had information about them, and then, in fact, was able to get more data with their permission. Now, when people see this, they say, Bob, that's far-fetched. A blood test online? Are you crazy? Everything that we showed you in that video, the technology exists today. It isn't necessarily cost-effective. It's not yet readily available, but it's already been invented. So as you think about that looks so far into the future, just how different might you have to do business in the very near future? So my point today, in summary, it will all be different. You have so many good things going for you right now in Brazil. How you view it, what you see, may indeed have a big impact on your future. I urge you to think about, are there, as we say, more than one way to skin the cat? Whether it's banks, whether it's insurance companies, are you doing enough to look at new distribution, at different kinds of products that will appeal to different segments of the market? And in fact, could you be selling more risk products if you did it differently? The consumer of tomorrow will be quite different. Will you be ready? Obrigado.
Muito bem. Eu fico contente em ter servido de exemplo aqui, ter oportunidade. Certamente o Helder, que é meu filho, teve boas notícias e más notícias. Enquanto filho, é uma boa notícia que eu vou viver muito. Enquanto chefe, é uma má notícia, porque eu vou continuar pegando no pé dele por muito tempo e espero fazê-lo, mesmo contra as expectativas das estatísticas. Eu acho que o Bob conseguiu atingir o grande objetivo desse nosso painel, que é basicamente provocar, ou nos provocar, a pensar o consumidor, pensar a distribuição, pensar produtos e pensar principalmente a cultura. E para debater esse assunto, nós temos dois companheiros que estão na linha de frente, no dia a dia, que certamente poderão fazê-lo com muito mais autoridade do que eu mesmo. Vamos começar pelo Fábio. O senhor avisar que tem 10 minutos.
Não, eu estou sabendo. Não, só complementando, Molina, o Helder está feliz por um lado, mas eu não tive a resposta se ele vai continuar acelerado assim ou se com os anos isso diminui. porque está ligado na 220 até hoje.
De acordo com o meu geriatra, se eu diminuir o ritmo, vou morrer antes. Então é uma opção muito...
Então, continua. Deixa eu pegar aqui o tema do consumidor do futuro e falando um pouco de vida individual. Está claro que a oportunidade é muito grande para todos nós, mas então eu queria falar se mesmo hoje, né, a gente refletisse se a gente está atendendo exatamente o cliente da maneira correta. Não diria correta, mas talvez se ele está 100% protegido. A vida individual, ela vem, muitas vezes, complementar aquele plano que nós temos, por exemplo, de um multiplicador de salários na nossa empresa, ou paga-se 24 vezes ou 36 vezes, mas aquilo, a gente não espera que aquela pessoa sobreviva só por 24 ou 36 meses, né? Então, o que o vida individual vem fazer? Ele trabalha a necessidade daquela família. Então, será que nós estamos abordando os nossos clientes exatamente da mesma maneira? Ou seja, uma pessoa com 4 filhos e uma pessoa sem filho é o mesmo capital? Então, quem está fazendo essa análise, que é a venda baseada na necessidade? Então, acho que esse é o primeiro reflexo que em vida individual a gente teria que fazer. Segundo, até por isso ser complexo, a gente analisa em vida individual, você tem o prêmio nivelado, você não volta à condição de saúde, por isso a necessidade da análise da subscrição ser feita na frente, porque assim você conhece o seu cliente hoje e o leva aos próximos 50 anos, porque a partir de 14 anos um adolescente já pode fazer um seguro de vida. Então, será que a gente, ao trabalhar os próximos 50 anos, 51 se for um jovem de 14 para fazer um plano para 65 anos, nós analisamos exatamente o que ele precisa, nós fazemos a análise da subscrição e será que os nossos corretores são preparados para fazer essa análise? Então, qual o treinamento que é dado para que isso seja feito? Diferentemente, de novo, de um seguro de vida em grupo, que você faz uma proposta, anualmente revisa, lá não. Lá você analisa a saúde, uma vez fechado, leva a pessoa para o futuro. Isso tem suas vantagens, né? Primeiro, o próprio prêmio nivelado não é que você não cobre as idades, é que hoje você já faz uma conta que a pessoa vai pagar mais hoje para poder pagar menos no futuro. Mas que bom, porque se a capacidade laborativa dela hoje é maior, entre aspas, isso é uma forma de poupar. Então, ela está pagando um pouco mais, mas não tem as puxadas altas de preço para o futuro. Então, isso seria uma vantagem. Na parte de análise de risco na frente, também é uma baita vantagem. Primeiro, você é mais jovem, normalmente tem uma saúde boa, então, se você contrai algum tipo de doença para o futuro, isso não é afetado. E ainda mais, se você faz uma análise antecipada e você pode até trabalhar com subpadrões de taxação, ou seja, se a pessoa não fuma, é um atleta, etc., você pode dar descontos em taxas, você pode trabalhar com riscos segmentados, ou seja, uma profissão que traga um risco, você consegue precificá-la sem negar. Isso também é uma enorme vantagem que a gente abre para a população. A comunicação e a transparência. É claro que quando eu falo isso e vou levar uma pessoa para os próximos 50 anos, eu tenho que explicar muito bem hoje o que eu vou fazer, porque eu vou acompanhar, o corretor tem que acompanhar essa pessoa pelos próximos 50 anos, saber se casou, se teve filhos, e a necessidade vai mudando. Então, eu tenho que ter um treinamento e a transparência, porque a constituição da reserva ao longo prazo tem que ser muito clara para o cliente, diferente de você anualmente estar fazendo renovação, de repente você toma um susto, estou já com problema de saúde e não tenho mais como fazer seguro. E, por fim, quem pensa que, só para tentar acelerar, quem pensa que não é um bom negócio, se analisarem as persistências do ramo de vida individual, é tudo próximo a 90%. O cliente fica fidelizado, porque ele acredita e entendeu o que ele comprou, né? Então, não só a experiência da nossa empresa, mas fora também o que eu vejo, é uma experiência muito positiva, porque isso paga a conta. Porque fazer underwriting ou análise de subscrição na frente, você tem que pagar, muitas vezes, um exame de sangue e urina e aquele médico ou aquele laboratório que faz. Mas isso volta quando você persiste com a carteira por um longo prazo. Então, se a nossa empresa, ou se todas as nossas empresas estão aqui com a finalidade maior do seguro, que é o quê? Pagar o benefício, então que bom que a gente pode honrar isso no longo prazo, e não ir renovando e, de repente, a pessoa não tem mais acesso e a gente não cumpriu com a nossa missão, que é exatamente devolver, né, que a gente pouco fala de quanto a gente devolve ao mercado, aos clientes, aquilo que nós assinamos, né, fizemos eles assinar no longo prazo. Era isso da minha parte.
Bom dia a todos. Gostaríamos de agradecer, em nome da nossa diretoria executiva, o convite que foi feito para estarmos aqui agora. E estamos aqui alguns pontos para servir, talvez, de reflexão para nós mesmos, lá na Bradesco Vida e Previdência, e talvez para os demais. A importância do processo educacional no crescimento do mercado de seguro de vida é, para a gente, um ponto muito importante. Não só porque ele traz novos clientes, como também desperta aqueles que já compraram na manutenção. Então, a educação passou a ser uma palavra-chave dentro do nosso planejamento estratégico, que sabemos que só educando as pessoas a gente consegue um mercado de crescimento mais sustentável. Que apesar do aumento da conscientização no tempo, em 1994, a McKinsey fez uma pesquisa para o mercado segurador, 38% da população não comprava seguro no Brasil, porque achava que não precisava. Deus é brasileiro, meu vizinho está sempre olhando para mim, então eu não vou precisar de seguros. A Intersight replicou essa pesquisa em 2005, e hoje menos de 5% da população brasileira não acredita que precisa de seguro de vida. Mas também em 94, 36% da população não comprava seguro porque achava que era caro. Em 2005, 24% da população, no mesmo grupo, continua não comprando seguro porque acha que é caro. E talvez não é a percepção de caro, e sim a percepção da não consistência da relação do custo-benefício. Aumenta a conscientização e isso ainda não reflete no consumo. Um outro ponto, tá, é que isso é muito importante, que seus canais são de oferta. O nosso produto ainda continua sendo uma parte de oferta. E ter uma força de venda mobilizada, nós temos aqui na frente 3 exemplos, né? A Prudente tem uma força de venda mobilizada, a Mongeral tem uma força de venda mobilizada, as duas trabalhando no mercado, fora o mercado bancário. Nós, na Bradesco Vida e Previdência, temos um papel muito importante nesse mercado de segmentos de bancassurance, por trabalhamos com 6.000 corretores de seguros especializados e mobilizados em vida e previdência. Somos responsáveis por formação de 30% do mercado de corretores no Brasil, mas isso ainda é muito pouco para que haja realmente um engajamento de todos nessa parte. O Bob citou aí a parte da pesquisa, e é uma outra coisa que nós acreditamos e investimos muito, que a gente tem que deixar de um pouco de pensar que a gente entende muito de seguro de vida e que os paradigmas nossos de 20, 30 anos atrás continuam valendo num consumidor que ficou muito mais exigente e muito mais especializado. Então, essa parceria que temos com a Linra, com a Loma, para desenvolvimento de pesquisa, a parte de treinamento também, seja em função dos programas da CNseg ou dentro de casa com a Universeg, entre outras instituições, passa também um condimento muito importante, porque o canal sendo educado, ele passa definitivamente a ter mais pessoas ofertando o produto e, consequentemente, um crescimento muito maior. O papel institucional da CNseg, da FENAPREV, em eventos igual a este, onde se comunica com diversos públicos, seja governo, autoridades, possíveis prospects, consumidores atuais, corretores de seguros, isso também passa a ser muito importante nesse processo educacional. A gente acha que institucionalmente a gente ainda fala muito pouco de seguro de vida nesse país. Isso é uma perna muito forte ainda para se trabalhar. A necessidade do engajamento da FENACOR e do SINCOR, definitivamente também para fazer com que isso e o produto de seguro de vida passe a ser definitivamente consolidado dentro do portfólio das seguradoras. Se oferece, geralmente, um único produto e esquece de se oferecer para esse mesmo cliente um seguro de vida. Lá na nossa área técnica, capitaneada aí pelo Jair Lacerda, se costuma dizer que a introdução da tábua brasileira traz também, a tábua brasileira de mortalidade e sobrevivência, traz uma mudança significativa na composição desse mercado. A parte de longevidade, da mudança da tabela, abre aí um espaço para discutir produtos focados em doenças graves, tá? Produtos ligados mais à sobrevivência e mais ao resgate, uma discussão para o Universal Life, mas também convive com um paradoxo. Nós vamos ter que viver por ciclos mais curtos, um mercado sofisticado de seguro de vida, convivendo ao mesmo tempo com seguro e um mercado básico de seguro de vida, que é a introdução ou através do microseguros ou do seguro popular. Esses ciclos para a gente vão se apresentar em desafios mais exponenciais. E isso tudo traz um impacto para a mudança da regulação. No desenho de produtos, nós vamos precisar de produtos mais simplificados para esse mercado básico, e isso faz com que haja essa provocação para que nós tenhamos um mercado mais fácil para poder ampliar, como foi dito ontem no painel aqui, as fronteiras do seguro dentro do país. Se me fosse possível fazer um ciclo imaginário aqui na minha cabeça, tá, e colocaria assim um D0 na palavra inclusão social, acompanharia logo em seguida que a necessidade da inclusão social, e voltando aqui um pouco tempo na minha cabeça, 1888 é uma data importante de inclusão social por causa da abolição da escravatura, vem a necessidade da inclusão habitacional. E, logicamente, depois da inclusão habitacional, se busca a inclusão educacional. E, no tempo, se buscou a inclusão em serviços financeiro-bancária e também a tecnológica. E hoje nós entramos na fronteira de buscar a inclusão securitária, que transfere renda e riqueza de um ciclo para o outro, fazendo com que uma geração fique mais rica ou mais nobre do que aquela passada. Só que esses ciclos hoje são muito rápidos. Se inclui socialmente, habitacionalmente, educacionalmente, financeiramente, tecnologicamente e securitariamente, de uma forma muito mais intensa. E se a gente está preparado para atender ou colocando nesse evento o consumidor do futuro, nós vamos ter que ser muito rápido, porque talvez nós já estejamos muito atrasados. Muito obrigado.
Antes de passar a palavra para o Bob, as suas considerações finais, queria fazer um comentário muito rápido. Eu pessoalmente gostei muito do painel. Na verdade, esse foi o objetivo. Tentar motivar as pessoas a pensarem mais em seguro de vida. E para mim, seguro de vida foi a minha vida inteira, na verdade, a minha vida profissional. Eu racionalizo isso de uma forma mais plural. Para mim, importa verificar esse conjunto de benefícios a que o indivíduo está sujeito na sociedade, que basicamente é a morte prematura, a invalidez prematura, finalmente a sobrevivência. Eu entendo, eu me considero um homem de vendas, um vendedor, criado profissionalmente como comunicador de vendas, e quero declarar a vocês todos o seguinte: para mim, convencer um chefe de família, provedor da família, a fazer uma apólice de seguro de vida, seja para a morte, seja para a invalidez, ou seja para a sobrevivência, é, antes de mais nada, um ato de amor e solidariedade. Com todo o respeito a todos os ramos de seguro, todos são importantes para o país e para as pessoas, mas eu não percebo nada mais importante do que uma apólice de seguro de vida para manter a rigidez de uma família. Lembrando que a família é o alicerce da vida e o alicerce do país. Bob, as tuas considerações finais.
I hope that you got a good, can't hear myself, that's terrible. I hope you got something valuable from this. As this self-reliance begins to emerge in Brazil, as your middle class gets into a nice lifestyle, to the point that Nilton made, it is crucial to protect that lifestyle for the next generation. So I think in Brazil, I am always struck by how much people try to do the right thing by the middle class. You are very committed to this. But once they have it, if they aren't going to save, if they aren't going to protect their ability to earn money for the next generation through life insurance. So this is a noble cause. We must help people protect themselves from the risks of living too long, of dying too soon, or becoming unhealthy while they're here. I thank you. Obrigado. Goodbye.